Name's Buck. I'm raring to fuck.
Let's just get it over with.
Oh, there ain't no hurry. I paid for a whole hour. Besides, I sort of thought we could try something new.
I got started real early, my interest in acting. Gosh, I was obsessed with the Disney film Peter Pan and the Mary Martin production that was a big special. They used to call them spectaculars on NBC that was run every year. Also, King Kong, when it finally showed up on television, which is when my generation discovered it, the $1 Million movie. And John Huston's Moby Dick just completely captivated me, as well as the original early seasons of The Twilight Zone. So that sort of spurred my imagination. And then it sort of went dormant. I became a gymnast, quite a talented gymnast, and which paid off in acting for a while. And also a swimmer. I was on the swim team and lettered varsity when I was a freshman and all that. And then I got back into it in late, what I guess they call middle school now, junior high school, so it would have been 9th grade. And I had great teachers because growing up in Southern California, there was a lot of people from the industry. And one of them encouraged me to audition at a professional children's theater, and I wound up landing all the lead roles. I was Pinocchio, I was Peter Pan, I was Aladdin. I was in Snow White. I was Doc, the lead dwarf in Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs. I was always in makeup. Robert Englund, always in makeup. I had tinfoil and foam latex as far back as then. I think I was 12 years old. By the time I was 17, I was starring in John Millington Synge's Playboy of the Western World, confounding my surfer buddies when I did Julius Caesar, and went into university and just aced all the parts there. And then was accepted to the Royal Academy, and couldn't stay there very long because of the Vietnam War, but was able to transfer to the Royal Academy branch in the States, Detroit, Meadowbrook Theater. And then I almost immediately went to work at night in the theater, understudying, and then small parts, and then I've never stopped. I've just never stopped. I was going to be a theater actor. I was going to devote my life to the theater, and what happened was I saw the politics. There's as much politics and BS in the theater as there is in Hollywood, so I came back. I remember sitting one night late, drinking a bottle of wine and something else, and watching the credits for Boxcar Bertha. Martin Scorsese, David Carradine, Barbara Hershey, and in the credits was every kid I'd gone to school with here in California. They'd all worked on the movie. And I said, I just lost a Parting Glass Menagerie to the artistic director's boyfriend from Lincoln Center. So I said, if I'm going to have to put up with politics in the theater, it's time to go to Hollywood. And I moved back and immersed myself in a history of the American cinema. And that sort of culminated with going on my first audition, a starring role in a movie called Buster and Billy, produced by Ted Mann. And I landed it, beat out some pretty big actors, and it was such a hit in ratio to its cost. Ted Mann was able to buy all the Fox theaters in California, including Grauman's Chinese, which became Mann's Chinese. That's the money from Buster and Billy, my first film, and I never looked back after that. I was in that early mid-70s Renaissance, just before Jaws changed the way of thinking in Hollywood. And I was auditioning for Robert Altman movies. I was starring in Bob Rafelson movies, the feature he did after 5 Easy Pieces, which introduced Jack Nicholson. So I was part of that world, and that was a great, great moment of time in Hollywood. I was a movie actor. Gosh, by the end of the 70s, I'd probably done maybe 10 or a dozen feature films and starred in half of those.
What do you mean?
I got a surprise for you.
No. No, damn you, I'm not gonna do that.
Oh, yes, you are. Now, come on. Stay up on those legs. Come on.
Stop that. No.
Come on. Get up on those knees.
Eaten Alive was strange. I had an audition deep San Fernando Valley, and I kind of liked the part. I knew who Tobe was. Tobe, then, we were kind of frightened of. We thought he was kind of like Charles Manson, you know. One of the things I always say about Texas Chainsaw Massacre, the original, is that there's so many sequences and so many images in that movie that have been borrowed by great directors as well as hack directors over the years. And there's so many seminal moments in that movie that people forget because it's been so ripped off that Tobe did it first. You know, that Tobe coined it, so to speak. You know, I think I saw it on Hollywood Boulevard in a matinee, and the theater was empty. There was like 3 people in it, one guy masturbating in the back row, you know. And All Alone was even worse than seeing it with an audience in that collective catharsis. But I knew who Tobe was. But you know, my attraction to it really was, I got to, see, I'm old school. I mean, you know, I'd rather hang out with Kirk Douglas than Rob Lowe. You know, I'm impressed. I go to the old Oscar parties because I want to meet Ernest Borgnine, you know, and the old school guys more than the kids today, because I get to work with the kids today. And I got to work with Stuart Whitman in that movie, and Carolyn Jones, and Mel Ferrer. And I remember Carolyn Jones one night, we were in trouble on the shoot on Eaten Alive, and Carolyn, real good sport, but she says, I remember saying in like a Betty Davis, husky, deep, you know, whiskey-tainted cigarette voice, you know, boys, I'm swell now, but at midnight, you know, I turn into a star, meaning, you know, she goes into triple golden time. You better not mess around with her, you know.
Damn fools.
So, you know, to work with these guys, even if it was a low-budget horror movie, Neville Brand, I love Neville Brand. I'd seen Neville Brand in some weird, because I love war movies as a kid, some weird naval movie where he plays a chief petty officer. It's real sentimental, but I'd seen him on that kind of cinema verite, almost like a sentimental war story, contemporary, treated Cassavetes-like, almost cinema verite. And Neville Brand was great in that, and I loved him in Laredo and all these things, and I got to work with Neville a lot, you know, and I'd heard all these incredible stories, you know, there's all these legends of Neville Brand, you know, in the back lot of Universal going crazy and stuff.
Oh, just an old fool. Yeah, he is.
Yeah, that's really what brought me there, and I'll just add something. It was filmed at the old Raleigh Studios across from Paramount, and I lived right around the corner. I could walk to work. And my first day on that set, Raleigh Studios was just a funky, rundown old studio back then. And I remember walking in that soundstage. And this was my first horror movie. I didn't quite know what I was getting into because I was part of the new Hollywood, you know. And I walked on that soundstage, and there was this mock-up Victorian, rundown Texas farmhouse, Gulf Coast farmhouse, and a road into infinity, and cactus, and tumbleweeds, and dirt, and iguanas and monkeys screeching on the veranda, and Neville Brand walking around with a cigarette, you know. And it was like, God, this is going to be a great movie. I'm so glad I said yes, you know. I'm so glad, you know. And Tobe and I instantly clicked, you know. Tobe and I have this weird shorthand. And it didn't even come from respect because we didn't know each other then. It's just, Tobe will say 3 things, and I absolutely know what he means by one of them. Robert, now you come around the back of the Cadillac, and maybe I'll see the brake, and he'll say brake light, you know, and I know, I can see the shot in my own mind's eye. He'll say one thing, you know, and then you'll be sitting around with Tobe, and you'll want to talk about something like that, and Tobe will be talking about, you know, Gettysburg or Bull Run or some extraordinary piece of literature or some great movie that you want to run out and see immediately, you know, because he's you know, he must have an IQ of 200, you know, so he can frame of reference everything, you know. But yeah, we just sort of understood each other right away.
How do, ma'am? Name's Buck.
Well, you know, I'd played a part similar in the theater, in The Rainmaker. And I just wanted to kind of take that character from The Rainmaker and make him nasty.
What are you looking at, huh?
You
See something here you like?
No.
There's something you want to say? Huh?
No, I don't want to say anything.
Hey,
I
Buck.
didn't do anything to you.
Come on, let's go.
Just watch who you're fooling with, okay?
You know, but I took a little bit of Jimmy from the Rainmaker and put him together with that. My only disappointment on Eaten Alive was that we, you know, it was just too expensive in those days to get an audio animatronic alligator.
You fix your ass! I'll get your ass for this!
Oh, Croc, eat anything. Even old Buck.
You know, and I thought the alligator suffered a little bit, and I went out there to try to sell that, you know, and it was like a mock-up off a mold off a real alligator, probably from a natural history museum or something, you know. But you know, you're still in there, and you're trying to sell it, and there's a guy wiggling him from behind and trying to make it work. Probably would have been better off to have a half of one, you know, that was audio animatronic, you know, if we could have found one then. That was my only disappointment. The rest was kind of fun. I thought there was like a real sense of place, you know, and kind of fun and kind of seedy and good cheesy, you know, because it should have been. It's supposed to be. I mean, I don't think it pretended to be anything more than a great little drive-in movie.
You can count on that. But I'll be back before long. Take it to the bank.
I think we all knew. I think everybody kind of knew it was that kind of project, you know. But you know, I think it was cast real well.
You just move on out now. Take her along with you. You understand?
All right, all right. All right. You got a burr up your ass, don't make a shit to me.
Well, you know, it's strange, to be honest with you, because I'm into, I guess, about my third generation of fans now, thanks to video and DVD releases and the way kids watch movies in the privacy of their home, you know, and pause buttons and all of that. And what's great is that some of those movies now are getting, like this one, you know, remastered and coming back out again on DVD, and people will discover them. You know, for a long time they could only be discovered, you know, on HBO or Showtime or cable or on The Late Show. There's no such thing as direct to video or direct to DVD. A movie really came out in those days, or it didn't come out, you know, it's that simple. And if you were in a movie that came out, that was a real accomplishment, and there's a bit of respect for that, and you felt something that, of course, it took longer for a movie to come out in those days, so you went from starring in a movie and meeting all these exciting people to going back to eating tuna melts and peanut butter and jelly for a year, collecting unemployment until the movie came out, you know, after you learned to save your money a little better. But it was a really interesting time. And, you know, there was not as much judgment. There was no judgment about Eaten Alive for me. I just remember walking on that set the first day, though, and it was this complete other world. It's that thing Toby does, you know, it's like, it's as good as I imagined it.